The loudest battles you will ever fight are the ones that happen in silence, not on a battlefield, not in front of a crowd, but in the mirror, behind your smile, inside your mind. The enemy you've been trying to outrun has always been within you. We blame others. We curse our past. We wait for a break. But what if the real war isn't out there? It's in here. What if the real villain? Where's your face? This is not a speech about motivation. This is a wake-up call. A journey into the shadows of your own soul. Because the hardest person to defeat is the one who whispers your fears, your doubts, your excuses. The one who knows your weaknesses, because it is you. There's a war going on, not in the streets. Not between nations, not even between you and the world, it's between you and you. Every single day. The person you see in the mirror is either your greatest ally or your deadliest enemy. And the scary part, most people never even realize they're at war. They feel exhausted, defeated, stuck, but they keep blaming everything outside of themselves. The boss, the government, the family, the relationship, the economy. But none of those things live inside your head like you do. None of them have access to your deepest fears, your private regrets, your buried pain. The real enemy. It doesn't scream, it whispers, it tells you. You can't. You're not good enough. You'll never make it. And worst of all, why even try? You see, external enemies are easy to spot. They challenge you out loud. You can prepare for them. You can fight them. But the enemy within, that one wears your voice. It knows every weakness you try to hide, every moment you gave up, every dream you buried. And it feeds off your silence. You wake up in the morning with hope. And within an hour, that enemy floods you with anxiety. You make a plan to change your life, and that enemy laughs, telling you you failed before. What makes this time different? It's time we stop pretending that this war isn't real, because it's the one war you cannot afford to lose. And it begins with recognizing this truth. You are both the prisoner and the warden. You hold the key, but you keep waiting for someone else to unlock the door. This speech, this hour, is not about outside motivation. It's not about sunshine and smiles. It's about going deep into the pain, the truth, the shadow. Because only when you face the enemy within can you finally silence it. You've heard it before. Your mind is a battlefield. But you don't truly understand what that means until you're standing in front of something you want, something you need, and suddenly your own brain turns against you. You feel the fear rise in your chest. You hear it. What if you fail? What if they laugh? What if it all goes wrong again? That voice, it doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. And here's the cruel truth. Doubt always shows up louder when you're about to level up. Because the enemy inside doesn't care if you're happy. It cares if you're safe. And by safe, I mean stuck, comfortable, predictable. Your brain was wired for survival, not greatness. So the moment you try to grow, the enemy panics. It whispers self-doubt disguised as logic. It's not the right time. You need more experience. You're not ready. Just wait till next month. Sound familiar? You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're just under siege by a voice that's been trained to keep you small. Think back. How many times have you talked yourself out of greatness? That audition you didn't go to. That business idea you shelved. That conversation you avoided. That gym membership you let expire after a week. And each time you gave in to that voice, you trained the enemy to grow stronger. You taught it that you'd surrender. But here's the flip side. The liberating truth. You're also the one who can silence it. Because the mind is not your master. It's your tool. And like any tool, it can be sharpened, rewired, commanded. You don't need to stop being afraid to act. You just need to stop obeying fear. That voice of doubt will never vanish completely, but you can turn it into background noise. You can respond to what if I fail with what if I don't. Let me tell you, greatness doesn't feel like confidence. It feels like courage in the face of uncertainty. It's saying yes when your knees are shaking. It's applying when you're sure they'll reject you. It's showing up when your heart is pounding and your breath is short. Because every time you do that, you chip away at the enemy's power. You send a signal, I hear you, but I'm not listening anymore. The mind may be a battlefield, but you're not unarmed. You've got awareness, you've got resilience. You've got the choice to fight, and the moment you stop believing the lie that your doubt defines you, is the moment you begin to define yourself. We've become masters of disguise. In a world obsessed with appearances, we've learned how to hide the truth behind filters, fake smiles, and perfectly crafted captions. We post the highlights and conceal the heartbreak. We showcase wins but never share wounds. And we wear the mask of I'm fine so well. Even we start to believe it. But here's the problem. The more perfectly you pretend to be, the more painfully you rot inside. Because the enemy within thrives in secrecy. It feeds on your silence. It grows stronger every time you suppress your truth and smile through the storm. You see, people don't fall apart because they're weak. They fall apart because they've been holding it all in for too long, pretending they're unbreakable. And why do we pretend? Because perfection is a lie we've all bought into. We've been taught that vulnerability is weakness, that struggle is shameful, that brokenness is failure. So we bury the truth. We show up to work, play the role. We meet friends, wear the mask. We look into the mirror and we lie to ourselves. Everything's okay. But deep down, we know better. We know the enemy is screaming inside us. We hear it in the quiet moments when no one's watching. At night, when the noise fades, the truth returns. You feel the anxiety. You sense the fear. You remember the pain. And yet, the next morning, you armor up again, pretending, performing, surviving, but never really living. Understand this. The mask may fool the world, but it will never silence the enemy within, because that enemy sees through it. It knows the cracks beneath your smile. It knows the real you, the scared you, the tired you, the wounded you. And until you learn to take off the mask, until you learn to face the truth without shame, you'll always feel like an imposter in your own life. Real strength isn't found in looking perfect. It's found in being real. It's found in standing tall and saying, I'm not okay, but I'm still here. I'm hurting, but I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not perfect, and I don't have to be. The day you take off the mask is the day the enemy inside starts losing power. Because light always exposes darkness, and truth always disarms the lie. The past, for some, it's a place of nostalgia, but for many, it's a prison, a place they visit every day, even if they left long ago. Regret, shame, guilt, mistakes. These are the chains the enemy within wraps around your soul. And the tragedy? Most people don't even try to break free. They carry their past like a shadow, believing that because it happened, it must define them. As if who they were back then is who they're forever doomed to be. But hear this: you are not your past. You are not your worst decision. You are not the person you were when you were in survival mode, when you didn't know better, when you were hurting and lost. Yet the enemy within will constantly remind you. You always screw things up. Remember what happened last time. You don't deserve a second chance. And it's so convincing because it uses your memories as evidence. It weaponizes your story against you. But here's the truth most never hear. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you hurt people, maybe even yourself. But you lived through it. You survived. And you're here now, which means you've already overcome more than the enemy wants you to admit. But as long as you keep replaying your failures, like a highlight reel, as long as you keep identifying with the broken version of you, you'll stay trapped in a life you no longer belong to. And let's talk about forgiveness. Not the kind you give to others, but the kind you withhold from yourself. You say things like, "I'll forgive myself once I've earned it. I can't move on until I fix it. I don't deserve peace after what I've done." But healing doesn't come from punishment. It comes from compassion. It comes from looking at your past self and saying, "I see your pain. I understand your confusion. You didn't have the tools you needed. But now I choose to rise." The enemy within wants you to stay small, defined by yesterday. But you are more than your scars. You are the healing, the growth, the courage it took to face what tried to destroy you. And every time you choose to forgive yourself, truly forgive, you loosen the grip of the past and walk one step closer to freedom. You want to know the favorite language of the enemy within. Excuses. And no, I don't mean the lazy kind. I'm talking about the believable ones. The ones that sound reasonable. The ones that let you sleep at night while your dreams die quietly inside you. The enemy doesn't show up and say, "Let's destroy our goals today." No, it's more subtle, more deceptive. It whispers, "You're tired. Rest today, start tomorrow. You don't have enough experience yet. Wait until you're more confident. Now's just not the right time." Excuses don't sound like lies when they're dressed up as logic. But they are lies. Well-crafted, emotionally appealing lies. They don't protect your future. They protect your comfort. They're a defense mechanism designed not to preserve your potential, but to preserve your current reality. Think about it. How many times have you said, "I don't have time," but somehow you scroll for 2 hours on your phone? Or, "I just need to get in the right mindset," and that mindset never arrived. The enemy is clever. It doesn't force you to quit. It just convinces you to delay, until delay becomes your lifestyle. Excuses are the silent killers of greatness. You may not see the damage today, but over time, they add up, day by day, dream by dream, until one morning, you wake up and realize you've been busy, doing nothing that matters. Here's the real danger. The longer you allow excuses, the more they start to sound like truth. And the more you repeat them, the more they become part of your identity. I'm not a morning person. I'm just not good at this. That's just how I am. No, that's not how you are. That's how you've trained yourself to stay. Let me be blunt. Excuses are the enemy's favorite disguise for fear. Because if you admitted you were afraid to fail, afraid to be seen, afraid to be judged, you might actually confront it. But an excuse? That's easier. It lets you off the hook. But guess what? Every time you make an excuse, you hand the enemy the pen. You let it write your story. You surrender your power. The life you want is not found in your comfort zone. It's found in the place where your excuses end and your effort begins. Comfort feels good. It's soft, warm, familiar. But let's get one thing clear. Comfort is not your friend. It is your cage. And the enemy within, it loves when you're comfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you stop moving. You stop growing. You stop fighting. Comfort says, you're doing okay. Why push harder? Why take that risk when you've got stability? Why make yourself uncomfortable if you don't have to? And you believe it. Because who wouldn't want peace? Who wouldn't want to feel safe? But here's what no one tells you. The price of comfort is progress. Everything you want. Confidence, success, healing, strength. It all lives on the other side of discomfort. Growth doesn't happen when things are easy. Growth happens when you're uncomfortable, uncertain, and challenged. Comfort keeps you where it's familiar, even if familiar means broken, even if it means miserable. That's why people stay in toxic relationships. That's why people hate their jobs but never quit. That's why they wake up with regret but still repeat the same routine every day. Because pain is painful, but it's predictable. And the enemy within would rather keep you in predictable misery than risk the unknown. Comfort whispers, just stay here. At least you know what to expect. But greatness doesn't live in what you expect. It lives in the unknown. In the scary steps. In the late nights and early mornings. In the moments where you want to quit but keep going. If you want to know who you are, really, don't look at yourself when everything's easy. Look at who you are when things get hard, when nothing's certain, when you're tired, scared, insecure, and still show up. That's where character is forged. That's where transformation begins. Not in comfort, but in the crucible of pain. Let's make this clear. The cage of comfort is lined with excuses, and the moment you accept both, you lock the door from the inside. But you can choose differently. You can make discomfort your ally, because every time you embrace discomfort, you loosen the enemy's grip. You silence the lie that you're not capable. Comfort may feel like safety today, but years from now, you'll look back and realize it was just fear dressed as peace. You don't always need someone else to break you. Sometimes you break yourself. That's the cruel reality of self-sabotage. It's not just a bad habit. It's not just procrastination or laziness. It's the unconscious belief that you don't deserve more, so you ruin it before it ruins you. You fall in love and suddenly start pushing them away. You get an opportunity and immediately doubt your worth. You make progress and then accidentally miss. A few days, you almost win and then pull back right before the finish line. Sound familiar? It's not by accident. It's not weakness. It's fear. Fear disguised as control. Because when you sabotage your own life, you at least get to be the one who ends it. It's less painful than waiting for the world to take it from you. So your inner enemy whispers, "Don't get too close. They'll leave anyway. Don't get too excited. It won't last. Don't dream too big. You'll only be disappointed." And we obey it. We destroy the very thing we prayed for. We set fire to our own blessings. Why? Because deep down, we still carry the wounds of unworthiness. Maybe someone once told you, "You'll never be good enough." Maybe you failed once and never forgave yourself. Maybe every time you built something, life took it away, so now you beat life to the punch. That's the enemy within, a scared version of you trying to protect your heart by breaking it first. But here's the thing. You can't heal if you keep hurting yourself. You can't grow if you keep tripping over your own feet. You can't win if you keep playing against yourself. Self-sabotage is not just a behavior. It's a belief. And that belief says, "I'm not worthy of this." But it's a lie. One planted by pain, one watered by doubt, and one you've repeated for so long. You forgot it wasn't true. You have to catch it in the act, when you feel joy and suddenly panic. When things start going well and you pull away. When you're about to succeed and talk yourself out of it. That's the moment to stop. To breathe and to say, "No more, not this time. I am not my fear." Because the enemy inside doesn't fear failure. It fears change. It fears healing. It fears growth. Because every time you rise, you threaten its control. Every day, you talk to yourself more than anyone else does. But the question is, what kind of conversation are you having? Most people are stuck in a loop, a broken record of criticism, doubt, and self-hate. And the tragedy is, they don't even notice it anymore. You spill coffee and say, "Ugh, I'm such an idiot." You miss a deadline and say, "I always screw things up." You see yourself in the mirror and think, "Not good enough." And you think it's harmless, but it's not. Every word you speak to yourself becomes part of your identity. The enemy within doesn't scream. It whispers. It whispers through your own voice, so softly, so often. You start to believe it. And belief is powerful. You will always live in alignment with what you believe about yourself. If you believe you're broken, you'll act broken. If you believe you're incapable, you'll never try. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll reject love, success, joy, even when it's freely offered. But here's the shift. You are not the thoughts in your head. You are the one listening to them. And once you realize that, you can rewrite the script. You can teach your inner voice to become your coach, not your critic. You can replace "I count" with "I'm learning." "I'm not enough" with "I'm growing." "I always fail" with "I've made progress before." And "I will again." This isn't about fake positivity. This is about conscious choice, intentional speech. Discipline of thought. Because every time you repeat a new truth, even when you don't feel it, you're reprogramming your mind. You're building new pathways. You're teaching your inner self that it's safe to believe again. And it's not easy. The enemy will resist. It's spent years, maybe decades, building its stronghold. But with every act of kindness toward yourself, every time you forgive your failure, every time you speak gently to your pain, every time you show up anyway, the voice changes, slowly, but surely. And one day, you'll notice the shift. You'll catch yourself speaking with hope. You'll begin cheering yourself on. You'll stop shrinking and start standing. Because when your inner voice becomes your ally, the enemy within becomes a memory, not a master. The enemy within doesn't sleep. It doesn't take weekends off. It doesn't care if it's your birthday or your worst day. It shows up every single day. So the question is, do you? You see, it's not enough to understand your inner enemy. It's not enough to know it exists. You must prepare. You must armor up. You must train yourself to stand ready, because the battle is daily, and the battleground is you. Let's be honest. Life is not a what-I'm transformation. It's not a once motivated, always motivated game. It's a war of inches, a fight of habits, a relentless battle between who you are and who you want to become. And just like a warrior sharpens his blade, you must sharpen your mind. Here's the truth. You're not weak because you struggle. You're weak only when you stop showing up for yourself. And the way to win that daily fight is discipline, not motivation, not mood, not emotion. Discipline, waking up when it's easier to hit snooze, choosing the gym when your body says, skip it today, writing the page, making the call, saying the affirmation. Even when, especially when, the enemy says, what's the point? Because every disciplined decision is a swing of the sword against the enemy within. And over time, you build what I call inner armor. Not arrogance, not fake confidence, but quiet strength, steady courage, unshakable habits. So how do you build this armor? Start with rituals, not random action. Start your mornings with intention. Pray, breathe, visualize, write. Feed your body what fuels you, not numbs you. Speak to yourself with respect. No more silent abuse. End your day with reflection, not distraction. You don't need a perfect system. You just need one that reminds you who you are and who you're becoming, before the enemy can tell you who you're not. And let me be clear, there will be days when you feel weak, when you break down, when you fall back into old patterns. That's okay. That's part of the process. Falling doesn't disqualify you. Quitting does. This fight is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about deciding, again and again, I will not let the old me win today. Because if you don't fight for your peace, your enemy will claim it by default. And once you realize that, once you commit to showing up every day, not just when it's easy, That's when you become dangerous. We all get hit. We all stumble. We all face moments where everything inside of us screams, "Give up." But here's the truth no one tells you. The enemy within doesn't win because it's stronger. It wins because you stop fighting. It wins when you surrender. It wins when you start believing the voice that says, "This is who I am now. Maybe this is just my life. Maybe I'm not meant for more." That's not truth. That's defeat dressed as acceptance. You see, you can be wounded and still move forward. You can cry and still rise. You can fail and still refuse to fall apart, because the only way the enemy within can win is if you choose not to stand back up. And I get it. It's exhausting. The emotional fatigue, the mental weight, the loneliness of a silent battle. Some days, even breathing feels like a task. Some mornings, even getting out of bed feels like war. But listen to me. The strongest thing you can do is not win every battle. It's to keep showing up for the fight. That's where power is born. Not in perfection, not in constant victory, but in refusal to surrender. You don't need to feel strong to be strong. Strength is often invisible. It's in the quiet choice to try again. It's in the whisper, "Not today. I won't give in today." And here's what I've learned. Some days, your best will be loud and confident, and other days, your best is just breathing through the panic and surviving the storm. Both are valid. Both are victory, because real strength isn't about avoiding pain. It's about learning to carry it, to walk with it. To build a life anyway. The enemy will remind you of every failure. It will replay every mistake. It will dig up every scar. But it can't defeat the person who keeps rising. It cannot beat the soul that refuses to break. You don't have to be fearless, just unwilling to quit. Every time you stand up after being knocked down, every time you try again when everything in you says don't bother, every time you choose faith over fear, you take back ground. You silence the voice. You become who you were always meant to be. Because the enemy within can't win if you don't hand it the victory. At some point in your journey, you must stop waiting to be rescued. No mentor, no friend, no guru, no perfect moment is coming to save you. You've waited long enough. You've begged, pleaded, hoped that someone would pull you out of the fire. But the truth is, you are the one you've been waiting for. The hero you've imagined. The one who rises from the ashes. Who overcomes the pain. Who faces down the demons. That hero is already inside you. Not in the future. Not after the next breakthrough. Now. But you have to make a decision. Because becoming your own hero isn't about power. It's about permission. It's about choosing to stop playing the victim in a story you have the power to rewrite. It's about saying, "This life is mine." The pain, the scars, the setbacks, they don't define me. They shape me. They forge me. And the moment you decide to become your own hero, everything begins to change. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" You stop hiding your wounds and start showing your strength, because your scars aren't proof of weakness. They're proof that you survived. You've been through battles no one knows about. You fought in silence. You've cried in the dark. You've picked yourself up 1,000 times without applause, without recognition. And now it's time to stop shrinking. Time to stop pretending you're average. Stop acting like you were meant to just get by. You weren't built to be a background character in your own life. You were made to lead. To rise. To set fire to every excuse you've used to stay small. But let's be honest, being the hero of your own life doesn't come with a cape. It comes with responsibility. It comes with self-awareness. It comes with truth. And sometimes that truth is hard to swallow. You'll have to admit where you gave up too easily. Where you let your inner enemy win. Where you blamed others when it was your own fear calling the shots. That's what heroes do. They don't just fight enemies. They confront themselves. They clean out the shame. They tear down the lies. And then they rise. Every hero story you've ever loved had one thing in common: the moment when the character decided to stop running from who they are. This is your moment. No more waiting. No more deflecting. No more apologizing for your dreams, your passion, your power. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to believe that your life can be greater than what it's been. But you don't get there by wishing. You get there by working. By waking up every day and acting like the hero already lives in you, because it does. And here's the thing. Being your own hero doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you walk through it. It means you show up anyway. It means you build the life no one thought you could, not even you. And in doing so, you become the kind of person that others look at and say, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Because your transformation is someone else's permission. Your courage gives someone else hope. Your healing lights the way for others still lost in the dark. That's what heroes do. They don't just save themselves. They become the example that changes lives. But it starts with you, not when you feel ready, not when it's perfect. Now, you don't need someone else to believe in you. You don't need the world's applause. You need one thing, and one thing only, to believe that the enemy within doesn't get the final word. That voice may have shaped your past, but it does not have to own your future. So take the pain and use it. Take the fear and face it. Take the shame and turn it into strength. Because the most powerful thing you can ever do, the boldest, bravest act, is to rise up from the ashes of your old self and say, I'm not waiting to be saved anymore. I'm becoming my own damn hero.